Hello and welcome to my tier list video. My name is YaSloom, and today I'll be walking you through my tier list and explaining why each hero is placed where they are. First of all, a little bit about myself. I play Stadium extensively. I have reached Legend on Tank and All-Star on both DPS and support. This is last season. Alright, let's go straight to the tier list. You'll notice straight up that Kiriko is the only support in S tier in the tier list. And that's because she's extremely broken. What most people know is the clone build is really strong, and they would be right. But what's broken about her is when you combine the double Suzu with the other power, every time you cleanse a hero in your team, you gain 5% ultimate charge. So when you are in a coordinated team, you literally just walk into any CC intentionally as a team. You group up. Then when you cleanse that as Kiriko, you gain 25% ultimate charge. And you have two Suzus, so you gain 50% ultimate charge just like that instantly. And that's very easy to trigger, especially if you're playing against a Moira with a ball build where they build CC. There's like almost every character in the game has built-in CC with their builds. So what that makes her into, you can use her ultimate like 6 times per round, and that's just ridiculous. And the amount of cash she generates by round 5 or 6, she has like 80 or 100,000 cash. Her numbers are just extremely busted, and that grants her the solo placement as a support in the S tier. Now going forward to Freya. Freya has an insane amount of burst damage. She can even burst down tanks. Combined with her mobility, she's almost like a flying tracer. Makes her very hard to target and makes her just almost unkillable with the proper pocketing even. She's way better than Farah because she just does her damage more consistently, and she has a better way to dodge enemy targeting you with her movement. Going forward to McCree. McCree feels like a combination of Reaper and Soldier because he has the best of both. You can target long range targets with his hit scan, and whenever you're close to a tank, you can just right click on them and burst them down. Combine that with his flashbang, making it easy to heal for your team whenever you get dove by a diver, or you can chase down targets with his E as well. He's very consistent and is very safe pick, especially in draft mode nowadays. Now, starting with the first tank, and this is going to be a controversial thing, because I've seen Reinhardt being placed very low on tier lists, but I assume that's because people don't know how to play him properly. Reinhardt has a very strong build where you go as a bruiser. You take first item, Gloom Gauntlet, followed by Phantasmic Flux. Then you just rush movement speed, and you go 2 tank items towards the end. And an important part of that build is you take Deploy Shield as a power, level 1. Then you take, you burn enemies with auto attacks at round 3. Then you take the lifesteal, movement speed, power. And lastly, you take, whenever you ulti, you do fire strikes on auto attacks. That build makes him so freaking broken. He becomes an unkillable machine. And whenever you dive with the deploy shield, because it just pushes all your enemies away, it makes it very easy to single out enemies and take them out immediately when the team fight starts. He's just such an insane powerhouse. He's my main tank in a stadium, and I've gone like 15 to 20 games winning streaks with him. He's that good. And many people think Orisa counters him, but that build specifically, like I intentionally first pick Reinhardt just to face Orisas because that build just messes Orisa up. You just farm insane amounts of cash with that build. Don't fall for the trap of going ability power on him because the build is very inconsistent and the ability power might hurt your team as well if you are faced into a Diva, Genji, or Orisa with the ability power part because they just deflect all your fire strikes to your team and they just die. The Bruiser build is much more consistent. Now going to Junker Queen. She just does a lot of damage. She has a lot of sustain, making her a very good tank for both solo queue and pre-made. Because you can, with solo queue, you can go back to the back line, kill the entire squishy targets on your own, and still live and go out like nothing happened. Because of her dot damage, she generates so much cash on Stadium, making you able to get full build by round 5, like 6 purple items. She's just incredible and consistent. Now, Diva might be a surprising placement for many people as well. Diva has 2 or actually 3 builds that are really strong. Her left click build when you go weapon power, and especially good in this season because there's a lot of flyers to deal with. She also has the matrix build, and also the one where you roll down and crush, jump on enemies. She has a lot of versatility in her builds, and she's incredibly strong in the right hands. Now, Monkey is the newest addition to Stadium. He is also extremely versatile. He has a lot of different builds you can use in different situations. My favorite build on him will be the weapon power build with the left click. It just feels the most consistent, but there's a lot of nice builds like the jump pack build where you go ability power, but that takes more time to ramp up. The left click one is just more consistent. I think he's incredibly strong right now. Now going to the A list, you'll find a surprising pick here, which is also Lucio. Lucio has a very strong build where you go the whenever you right click, you heal your team in AoE. So you take the following power is double boop. Then you increase your radius whenever you amp it up. You'll be gaining so much cash. Like similar, it plays similarly to the Moira, where both of them build cyber venom and liquid nitrogen. So every time you hurt enemies, you slow them down and you anti-heal them. He, Lucius is just incredibly powerful at peeling for your team and also diving the squishy backline and also peeling the tank from your team. He just has insane healing numbers and he can keep your team up very easily and consistently, especially with this build. Now, going to Moira. Moira um, feels like an essential pick these days because a lot of the builds go around doing a lot of healing, especially if there is a Junker Queen on the enemy team or even a Reinhardt. Her most consistent build is the ball build. The only reason she is moved to A tier is because of Diva and Kiriko. Because those two counter. If the enemy team does not have a Diva or Kiriko, you're gonna have the best time of your life. She she generates a lot of cash and does a lot of healing in the same time. Like she does, I mean, a lot of damage and does a lot of healing. She's just an incredible powerhouse. Now, going on to Genji. He has a lot of viable builds. You can build him weapon power, you can build him ability power, and you can even go a bruiser build on him. He takes a bit more effort than the two DPSs in the S tier to be consistent with, and he is countered a bit more easier than the two on the top, because especially with the addition of Monkey nowadays, which is his biggest nemesis. That's if Monkey was not there, I would have put him in the S tier, but just Monkey being a popular pick right now just puts him down in the A tier, but he's still a very strong pick. Now Pharah. Pharah at the beginning of the season has been quite strong. They just added a bunch of nerfs with the recent patch. After those nerfs, nerfing the numbers down a bit on her, toning her down, I moved her down to A tier because Freya is just a lot more consistent and does what Farah does with way less pocketing. Going forward to Ash. Ash is here um, because of her dynamite build. What what many people don't know though, that her dynamite build has um, a strong single target burst beside all of her AoE and zoning. When you go the shotgun power second, where whenever you use your shotgun on a burn target, it does a lot of single target burn damage. You can instantly kill squishy targets whenever they dive you or when you're chasing them down. And the amount of cash that her burn build generates is an obscene amount. The only reason she's down here in A tier is because of Kiriko existence, and a good diva can also swallow her dynamites as well. So whenever you're playing draft mode, try to pick her last, just to avoid these two. But she's still a very powerful pick. I would not go the sniper build because how much damage the dynamite build does. You can even burst down tanks if you're playing her properly. Now going forward to Zarya. Zarya is still a very strong pick. She just uh, falls a bit short compared to other tanks in the S tier because she has less versatility in her build. You kind of have to go left click build on her always, weapon power. She's more restricted in what she builds. But she's still a very good pick, especially if you're playing in a pre-made where you can call out her graph and whatnot. Now going forward to Mercy, which is she's one of the most popular support picks. If this was season 17, I would have placed Mercy higher, like maybe top of the A tier. But they have given her a lot of nerfs. They removed a lot of her strong powers. And now compared to the other supports up there, she feels a bit lackluster because they provide the three other supports in the upper tiers, they provide both healing and damage. She strictly provides healing and buffs for her team. Whenever you get dove by an enemy DPS, you have a hard time defending yourself. You have to rely on your team to defend you, basically. The others can just fight them easily 1 versus 1. And her numbers don't feel as strong as before, so she goes down to B tier. Zenyatta takes a while to ramp up. Like his healing numbers are just feels way too low at the early rounds, and it feels like you're playing from behind at the beginning. Once he gets a few powers and his healing numbers ramp up and his damage ramps up, he feels stronger, but he just takes a lot more time to get online because he just generates a lot less cash than other supports. And his ultimate feels lackluster compared to the supports in the upper tiers. Going to Anna. Anna feels like you have to do a lot more work for a lot less results compared to the uh, upper people in the tier list. She has a very nice item where you can dash whenever you jump. She has a bunch of versatile builds where there's a build where you can go sniper build left click, and there's a build where you can go grenade build, and there's also the sleep build. But she just feels lackluster compared to the other supports. She's still okay in the right hands. You just have to do so much work just to be decent at her. Now, Soldier might be a surprising pick down here. Um, Soldier can carry you all the way to All Star, maybe low legend. But when you um, him not having a dash or a form of escape beside his running makes him a very easy target um, to kill. And he just feels like an inferior version of McCree because he doesn't have any CC to rely on. He just has very basic kit, but he is still a decent pick. Like he's just okay, not OP, not weak, just in the middle, balanced. That's why he's in the B tier. Now, Reaper, with the addition of the flyers, he feels a bit inconsistent into them. You can go the flying build on Reaper, and I've had success with that into flyers. But and if you had flyers on enemy team, there is no reason to pick him when you have a McCree. Like you can just go McCree or Ash. They just do his job better. And McCree also bursts down tanks with his right click, so he's just an inferior version of McCree as well. Now Orisa, she just feels lackluster compared to the other tanks. She can be easily countered by like surprisingly, I'm gonna say this, Reinhardt really messes her up. Like I would love it when Oris like in comp, normal comp, she messes up Reinhardt. But in Stadium, because of the itemization, you can work around her build and just out sustain her and out damage her and win the matchup very easily. She just feels lackluster compared to the other tanks in the upper tiers. You might she might perform better in pre-made scenarios where you can call out your ultimate, grab them all together, and do a wombo combo. But she's still not that great, to be honest with you. Now, going forward to Bridget, she's the newest addition to Stadium as well. Bridget feels lackluster to the other supports because you have to be in the front line to do your healing, or you have to damage people to do healing, but she does not feel tanky enough to um, take damage being as a frontline. You can just do the healer job a lot safer with other supports without taking the risk of being right in their face. A coordinated team just bursts her down instantly from how squishy she is. Yes, you can say she has a tanky build, but it takes a lot of time to ramp up, and by then, if the enemy team is targeting you every time, the game is already over. They already have a big cash advantage over you, and just it doesn't matter at that point. Now, Juno got a lot of nerfs in the couple patches ago, and she just doesn't feel as fluid as other supports. And her left click build feels very lackluster. Her ability power build feels okay, but still, um, just she feels like she falls behind of everyone else. So she takes the last spot in the tier list as a support. Now for Sigma. Sigma has a very hard time peeling for his team, and combine that with his lack of mobility makes him a very, it feels like a very useless target in the team. You can just, a lot of times, you can just ignore him and go to his backline. He can't do anything about it. There is a build where you can reduce his cooldowns, his rock cooldowns whenever you auto attack, but I still need to do more testing with that. But so far, I haven't had any issues dealing with him. He just feels a very like he doesn't have any presence in the game whenever he's on the enemy team. Now to the last two spots in the tier list. Junkrat is my favorite DPS in the game, and I have really enjoyed playing him in season 17. But ever since the addition of Pharah and the flyer meta being a thing, he feels very lackluster in dealing with those targets. Unless you go sniper build on him, and it just takes way more effort to do like a half decent job of a head scan. So there's just no reason to pick him. And if the draft mode makes him even weaker, because now if you pick Junkrat and the enemy team picks Diva, you just become completely useless. She mitigates all your damage, and you can't do any DPS. You don't generate any cash. It just feels horrible into Diva. If before draft mode, I would have put him actually higher. I would have put him maybe in B, but draft mode just makes him a lot worse, and that's very similar to May. Her incapability to deal with flyers just makes her so freaking weak. With coordinated teams, yes, you can do plays with her and whatnot. if you have May and then another consistent hit scan. But just she feels like you have to do way more work to get half of the results of other DPSs in the tier list. All right, that concludes the tier list. If you have any questions about the builds or any questions about the tier list, let me know. I'll be happy to answer them. I do also make builds for all the characters in the game. I like to test a lot with the different builds and um, try different things in the game just to experiment and find out new tricks and whatnot. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed and see you next time.